Hi, this is Javin Kharor, a chemical engineer by profession, going to continue our today's topic, priming in a centrifugal pump. Now, what is that? Priming is a crucible process in centrifugal pump that ensures the pump is filled with fluid before it is started. The priming process involves filling the pump casing with the fluid to be pumped, removing any air from casing and creating a seal between impeller and the casing. This can be done manually or automatically depending on type of pump. Now, understanding how priming works in a pump. Priming in centrifugal pump utilize a priming chamber, which is separate section of the pump that allow removal of air and creation of vacuum. The priming chamber is designed to facilitate the prime process by providing a space where the fluid can be drawn in any air can be expelled. Another interesting aspect of priming is the impact it can have on pump performance. A poorly primed pump can result reduced efficiency, increased energy consumption, and even damage of the pump itself. On the other hand, a properly primed pump can operate more efficiently with lower energy consumption and longer lifespan. Now, why priming necessary? Priming in a centrifugal pump is essential because the reason without priming there may be air trapped inside the pump casing which can prevent the pump from generating necessary pressure to move the fluid through the system. A dry pump can overheat and cause damage to impeller, seal and bearing. Priming ensures the pump is filled with fluid to pump which is necessary for proper lubrication and cooling of pump internal component. A well-primed pump operates more efficiently with lower energy consumption and less wear and tear on the pump component. In certain applications such as firefighting, irrigation, it may be necessary to prime the pump quickly in order to prevent damage or loss of life. Priming can help to prevent cavitation which occur. The pressure inside the pump drop too low and bubble form in the fluid. Cavitation causes damage to the impeller and reduce pump efficiency. Now, how do you prime a centrifugal pump? To understand the priming in pump carried out, they are the steps that causes water to prevent wear and tear. That are, ensure that pump is properly installed and that all valve and connection are secure. Open the suction valve and ensure that suction line free of any obstructions. Fill the pump casing with the fluid to be pumped until it is level with the suction port. Close the vent valve on top of the pump casing. Close the discharge valve. Turn on pump motor and allow it run for a few seconds to create a vacuum in the pump casing. Open the vent valve and release any air trap inside the pump casing. Air will be replaced by fluid being pumped. Close the vent valve. Once fluid has displaced all the air in the pump casing, open the discharge valve and adjust flow rate as necessary. Monitor pump to ensure it is operating correctly without any issue. Now, consider foot valve, automatic sources of liquid in order to prime the pump. Close the discharge isolation valve. Open the air vent valve in the casing. Open the valve in the outside supply line until only liquid escape from the vent valve. Close the vent valve and close the outside supply line. Priming of pump. Probably first and one of the most important things you should do before operating it. Not priming a pump or not doing it properly make up 80% centrifugal pump problem. with centrifugal pump are relatively inexpensive and downtime of your system due to malfunction pump might to be costly. Now, when priming is not required, in some of cases and some of instances, priming in pump not needed. That are self-priming pump. Some of type of pump, such self-priming pump, do not require priming because they have built-in mechanism that allow them to evaluate any air in the system automatically. The pump are designed with reservoir that contain enough liquid and enough fluid to create a vacuum which can use to draw fluid into the pump. Now, submerged pump. Pump, they are completely submerged in the fluid being pumped may not require priming because they are always filled with the fluid. In the cases, pump may needed to prime initially to ensure there are no air trapped in the system, but once it is filled with fluid, it should not require priming again. Now, gravity fed system. Some of the applications, the fluid being pumped may be supplied by gravity, which means no priming is necessary. For example, hydroelectric power plant, water flow down from reservoir, turn a turbine, pump may use, return the water back reservoir. In the case, pump may not need prime because water is already under pressure due to force of gravity. Now, what is self-priming pump? Self-priming pump is a type of pump that are designed to evaluate air from the suction line and pump casing automatically. Without need for manual priming, this make useful situation where fluid being pumped may contain air or gas where the pump may located above the fluid sources. Now, how does self-priming pump work? The self-priming pump are used application pump may located above the fluid source where the suction line may be prone to air pocket or any obstructions they are working, such as the pump is turned on, the impeller begin to rotate, creating a lower pressure area inside the pump. Air is drawn into the pump through suction line, mixing with small amount of fluid, the priming chamber. The impeller continues to rotate, creating a centrifugal force that pushes the air and fluid mixture toward the discharge outlet. The mixture reaches discharge outlet. It passes check valve which close prevent the fluid from flowing back into the priming chamber. The air in mixture separate from fluid as it enters the pump volume, creating a vacuum inside the pump. The vacuum draw more fluid into the pump chamber through the suction line and cycle continue until pump fully primed. Once pump is primed, it operates like standard centrifugal pump, moving fluid through the system and generating necessary pressure to meet the required flow rate. Now, there are precautions to use self-priming pump. Prevent dry running. One of the main precautions with the self-priming pump, avoid running the pump dry. Self-priming pump, certain amount of fluid in the pump chamber to create a vacuum and prime the pump. The pump runs dry, impeller can heat up and wrap causing damage to the pump. Always ensure the pump is properly primed before starting it up. Monitor or leak. Another precautions. Monitor the pump for any leaks in the suction line and discharge line. Air leak disturb the priming process and prevent pump operating properly. Fluid leak can also cause damage to pump motor and other components. Now regular maintenance. Self-priming pump, they are continue to operate effectively. They include checking the impeller and seal of wear, inspecting suction line and discharge line for leak, checking the prime chamber, proper fluid level, regular maintenance help to prevent costly repair prolonged life of the pump. Now suction supply below the pump. Discharge isolation valve, shut-off valve from outside supply, foot valve, check valve. Now foot valve, outside sources of liquid in order to prime the pump. Close the discharge isolation valve, open air vent valve in casing, open the valve outside supply line until only liquid escape from the vent valve. Close the vent valve and close the outside supply line. Now, priming in centrifugal pump. Priming of centrifugal pump is a process to filling the liquid at the suction pipe, and impeller priming is not to put pump into working order, filling or charging with the water. Why priming is required? Pressure developed by impeller centrifugal pump is proportional to the density of fluid in impeller. The impeller is running in air. It will produce only negligible pressure. Pressure will not suck water from the sources through suction pipe. To avoid this, pump is first filled with water. Now priming done. As first of all suction pipe and impeller completely filled with water. The delivery valve is closed and pump is started, and the rotating impeller pushes water in the delivery pipe, open the delivery valve and suck water through the suction pipe. Now, self-priming. Pump is located beneath level of liquid to pump gravity and air pressure ensure constantly filled with liquid. That can be no ingress air into the pump and suction line. In many applications, pump placed above level of liquid. For example, when emptying underground storage tank, a startup, there will be air suction line and pump can discharge the liquid. The air must be evacuated or displaced. Pumps are optimized to move a particular liquid. Evaluating gas is a very different challenge. Now, various methods can be used to around the problem. A secondary pump can be used to evacuate the suction line. A non-return foot valve or evacuation tank can be used to stop the fluid draining from the suction line when pump is stopped. However, the solution all involve extra equipment, piping and process. Ideally for this application, pump is required that can evaluate air from the suction side of starter before commencing its normal pushing mode. Such pump considered self-priming. What is limitation of self-priming pump? A pump evacuates air from the suction side. Liquid is forced into the suction line. Pressure of the surrounding air. The process can only continue until head of liquid balance and local air pressure with water. For example, theoretical possible for perfectly equipped pump, self-priming height of only about 10 meter sources. The prime limit is affected altitude and temperature and will be different from the other liquid. Are centrifugal pump self-priming? With centrifugal pump, the pumping action is generated by transfer of rotational energy from impeller to the liquid. There are no seal between the suction and discharge side of the pump. Means centrifugal pumps are ineffective with gases. They are not capable evacuating air from the suction line and liquid level is below that impeller. In such cases, pump is said air bounded and there are danger overheating. Generally, pump rely on pump fluid, lubricant, cool pumps bearing. However, with few modifications, basic design, centrifugal pump, self-priming, the impeller and volute casing is essentially surrounded tank, so it can always be immersed in a liquid sufficient get the pump started. Provide the pump with lubrication and cooling, provided the time taken. Prime the pump is not excessive. It is important self-priming. Centrifugal pump reservoir filled correctly with liquid after installation. Self-priming in the means that pump has ability to use liquid stored in its housing to generate a vacuum on the suction line, even self-priming. Centrifugal pump not operate with dry with appropriate bearing and seal. Centrifugal pump tolerate dry running for limited time and is not recommended for extended period. Self-priming centrifugal pump, two-phase operation, priming mode and pumping mode. In the priming mode, the pump essentially acts liquid ring pump. The rotating impeller generates vacuum. Impeller I withdraw air into pump from the suction line. At the same time, it creates a cylindrical ring of liquid on the inside of pump casing. This effectively gas tight seal, stopping air returning from the discharge line to the suction line. Air bubbles are trapped into the liquid within impeller van and transported to the discharge port. The air is expelled and liquid returned under gravity reservoir in the pump housing. Gradually, liquid rises up suction line as it is evacuated and process continues until liquid replaces all the air in the suction piping and pump stage normal pumping mode commences. The liquid is discharged. When pump is shut off, design priming chamber, it involves gooseneck. The suction piping ensures enough liquid is retained so the pump can self-prime on the next occasion it is used. If the pump has not been used, why? It is important to check for losses from the casing due to leak evaporation before starting it. Okay guys, this is all about our today's topic, priming in a centrifugal pump. I hope you get sufficient knowledge after watching this video. Next Sunday, we have covered some another chemical engineering topics. Till then, goodbye. Do take good care of yourself.